The purpose of this show is to guide you to realign with habits that get you to live the life you've always dreamed of. This is the Habit-Based Lifestyle Podcast with Jesse Ewing. This is the Habit-Based Lifestyle, where you can access your full potential right now. Finally break free from destructive habits. That dream life, if you want it, you can have it. This is where you transform your health, mind, business, and relationships. Or do nothing and keep your life the way it is. But if you're ready for change, you're in the right place. This is where you're gonna learn how to live a habit-based lifestyle. You are tuning in to the Habit-Based Lifestyle Podcast with your host, Jesse Ewing. This is the Habit-Based Lifestyle. Let's go.
Now, today's topic, we're going to talk about this: how to create a habit-stable environment. So I'm going to say that one more time: how to actually create a habit-stable environment. Now, what does this actually mean? Well, without stability in our life, habits can actually end up pushing us away from the things that we actually want. And most people don't realize that habits are easier to change once we're in a new environment, because the triggers, the cues, the things that triggered us are no longer there. The things that used to trigger us in this new environment don't exist. In this new environment triggers new things. It cues new things. Now, I can remember back 12 years ago, early on when I started my own training business, roughly around 2007, I would wake up every day, 4:45, and immediately check my phone. And back then it was email. Like specifically, I was checking my email. I wasn't even looking for an email. I just got into the habit of looking for one. Like, do you ever actually do this? Do you ever just wake up and immediately check your email? Well, this was me back in 2007. I would do this, and there was no specific email I was looking for. I just did it. And I got in this habit and pattern of doing it. And the trigger is immediately when I'd wake up, I would immediately grab my phone because it was my alarm, and then I would immediately scroll to my email. This went on for a few years. A few years later, all of a sudden now Facebook becomes more and more popular. And I went from the email to Facebook, back and forth, back and forth. All of a sudden, I'm 20, 30 minutes into my day, and I haven't even started my day. I got lost in Facebook. I got lost in the emails. And one of the things that started to happen was I actually started to have to cut my workouts short in the morning, or I'd actually get to work late. One of the other things that started to happen is when I actually started getting home late because I was distracted all day at work. Distracted for several hours a day, telling myself I'm working, yet I wasn't. That's not what I was doing. I was busy. I was busy doing nothing. Like, how many times have you actually heard people say I'm busy? Like, now that I actually know what busy means, like, busy just means you're full of shit. I'm busy being busy, yet I don't accomplish anything. And when I got home, I would find myself distracted by the work I didn't get done that day. Think about that for a minute. How many times have you told yourself or told someone else, like, hey man, how's it going in your business? Oh, I'm busy. Really? Like, now when I hear that, I'm like, all right, you're not doing anything then. Like, you're the guy who's sitting at work, scrolling through Facebook, Instagram, and email, and not doing shit or getting shit done. And then when you go home at night, you're actually doing work again. So here's what I started to realize. I actually started to work from home more because I was so distracted during the day that I wasn't actually getting things done that I needed to get done that day, and I would end up doing them at home. So the other habit I began to create was I would actually work at home and do the things that I was actually set to do during that day. But the reality I was facing was I had to actually change something, but I had no idea that I even had these habits. Fast forward to nearly 4 years ago, I'm introduced to this Warrior's Way, this game of Core 4, these core habits. And you're going to hear me talk about these all the time on this show, because these are things that I believe can exist in any one of us. Any one of us can do these. It's body, being, balance, business. They break down into 4 categories, and there's 8 habits. Once I was introduced to these, I began to focus on these habits, and they immediately pulled me away from my phone, the email, social media game that so many of us live today. Immediately when we get up, we wake up and we're immediately sucked into those things. What I started to find is actually a new habit inside of these 4 other areas. And they gave me a new focus. They gave me a new stable system. Yes, that's right. A new stable system I could work off every day. You see, it's simpler to associate a new habit with a new context than to build a new habit. So one of the things I began to do was when I would wake up, I would stop looking for my phone, my email, social media, which was my original cue when my alarm would go off. And I stopped looking at those things until I was actually done with my core 4. Now, my core 4 was my fitness. I was working out. I was doing my green smoothie. I was doing some journaling, meditation, leaving my wife and kids messages, and then reading and declaring on books. Now, even though I didn't have this new environment, I was still working in my same gyms, but I actually rearranged my schedule. So by me rearranging my schedule, this gave me this new structure and new system that I could now begin to work under. I was more productive, less distracted. I wasn't working from home as much. Every once in a while I would, but generally it was because I was on my phone too much during the day. I used my office to study. I stopped taking my phone with me on the gym floor when I was training clients, because I would have a tendency to want to check it and get distracted by it. And then in between clients, I'd run into the bathroom and check it again. So I stepped out of these normal behaviors that I had been so accustomed to and started changing the order. I would do things. Started rearranging the order I would do things. And I want you guys to think about these as 2 key concepts. I changed the order and I rearranged the order. Now, fast forward to 2018. I am now living in Southern California at this time, and I'm working at Warrior HQ, just trying to find this new structure, this new order that I could operate my day under, this new system for my day, for my core 4. And I found myself slipping back into these old patterns. And one of the things I started to notice was like I was not happy. I was angry. I was annoyed. I was frustrated. I would get triggered. I would get pissed off at people just because my entire schedule, my entire world, my environment was completely uprooted. Like literally uprooted completely. My order had changed. It had been rearranged. And it was great that I had moved and made these huge steps, but I had no predictable circumstances for my habits. Everything became distracting. The noises, the questions, people talking. I wasn't used to this. I wasn't used to not having my own space. And after about 6 weeks of this, I knew I had to make a change. I knew I had to find a space that I could create my own stable environment in and build around. So when I started thinking about this, I'm like, man, what do I actually want? I want this entire concept of core 4, this game of core 4. I wanted to create this in an office environment, work environment. So I created this entire office, this workspace that I'm in with one of my partners, Sam. And we created specific rooms for specific purposes. Like we have a meditation room, we have a gym, we have a study room, we have a podcast room, we have a kitchen. Each room has a singular purpose. This created a brand new, stable, and predictable environment for me to work under and to begin to create a system of habits that I could execute every day. Now I'm executing these habits every day, 10 times the level I was even 3 months ago, even 4 months ago when I was in my business. This gives me an ability to focus. But here's the simple lesson that I learned. Habits form the simplest in environments where everything has a place and purpose. I'm going to read this one more time because I want you guys to take this message and see how you can use this in your life. So habits form the simplest in environments where everything has a place and a purpose. Now, I built a place that has purpose, every room. And that for me is to optimize my life, my lifestyle, and my habits. Without it, I fall back into old patterns like we all do. I thrive in this environment. I create, and that aligns with my purpose. So there's some questions I want to leave you guys with today. There's some questions I want you guys to answer. What is one area where you must change your habits? Now, let's look at this. Body, being, balanced, business. Take something as simple as a diet. I'm going to give you some examples. Like just change your habit on where you shop. Change your habit on how or where you work out. Change the gym. Change the grocery store. There's 2 things right there that just by doing those things could actually change the results in your body. Change where you go to church. I get it. You may be comfortable in the place you're at. But guess what? Just going to a new environment may open you up spiritually to something that you've never experienced. But you won't know that unless you're willing to be uncomfortable and change. Drive a different way to work. Take a different route. Oftentimes we get stuck. Same route, same place every day. There's several routes you can take to work. Those are just some small examples. And then we have this other question. What's one environment you could change or rearrange to form a new habit? Home office, bedroom, desk, kitchen table, taking your cell phone out of your bedroom. This gives you a purpose when you go to bed, when you go in your room just to go to bed. How about leaving your cell phone in your car? This gives you a purpose of being present when you go home at night. No longer working from home gives you a purpose. Finish the work at work. That means you have to eliminate your cell phone possibly in your office for a certain amount of time. But what I want you guys to do is try these out. Like literally try a few of these out and let me know what you think. I would love some feedback. I would love a review. If you would leave me one, let me know if my podcast is actually resonating with you, helping you in any way, or giving you some ideas on how you can change, rearrange your habits, and begin to live this habit-based lifestyle. If you have any questions, email me at jesse@habitbasedlifestyle.com. And until next time, I will see you then. Have a great week.
The purpose of this show is to guide you to realign with habits that get you to live the life you've always dreamed of. This is the Habit-Based Lifestyle Podcast with Jesse